Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, Episode 5. My name's Morgan.
And I will, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about five, not 10, 5 countries in Africa, and why you should go on safari. And with those 5 countries, we're going to talk about which one is the cheapest to go on safari, and you can try and work out throughout the episode which one you think is, and which is the most expensive, because it might surprise you.
Roll the intro.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide. 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
So, Will, we've done quite a bit of filming this week. How are we feeling?
Yeah, great. I'm not tired at all.
No,
I'm not running on a quadruple coffee right now.
So the way this week has worked is we've done quite a lot of filming, and I've gone to work. Well, I've written episodes in the morning, gone to work, driven to Will's, spent the next few hours filming episode with Will, and then gone home and then repeat. And that's happened for this is the 3rd day this week that we've done this.
Yeah, I had a meeting with an electrician about 3 minutes before you walked through the door. So I've gone straight from that, grabbed a coffee, and now we're down here.
And now
down here, sorry, we're outside.
We're outside.
Seagulls.
Down couldn't be further from the truth. But anyway, in today's episode, as Will said, we are going to talk about African safaris. Now,
Yes.
Will likes his African safaris. He's been to a lot of countries in Africa. I have not. I would count. Would you count the Amazon as kind of a safari, seeing animals? I don't actually know what the actual definition of a safari is.
Mm-hmm. I was really worried you were going to say, would you count the Amazon as Africa? I was really, really worried for a second. I was seriously worried that you were going to really upset our viewers.
Is that because your brain is just not switched on?
No, it is switched on. I was just worried. The way you segued into the Amazon, I thought, oh, where's he going here? No, I wouldn't call that a safari.
What would your definition of safari be?
I'll probably get hate for this, but in my head,
I hate you.
Safari is a trip specifically to go out to look at wildlife within the continent of Africa.
I was about to say, because
you can do different types of safari, because you get jeep safaris, walking safaris, night safaris, kayak safaris, helicopter safaris,
hot air balloon safaris.
Yeah, microlight safaris. Like, there are lots of different types you can do, but I think the basis of safari is going out for the sole purpose to watch, understand, study, photograph, just generally enjoy and appreciate wildlife
in its natural habitat.
Yeah, but in every sort of level. So many people stereotype of going and seeing lions and all that, but when you go on a walking safari, then you actually start to notice all the tiny ecosystems within Africa. You go and look at termite mounds, where you might see an old termite mound, and if it's completely, we'll call it an extinct termite mound where there's nothing left in it, uninhabited termite mound, if you break into it, the outside temperature could be, let's say 35 degrees, but the inside temperature of that termite mound is almost warm enough to cook a pizza in it. It feels like that. I've seen videos of people cooking in a termite mound because it acts as this insulating chamber, and you can take off on the top, and it acts as a chimney, so it could be unbelievably warm in it.
That's pretty cool. So why, you obviously like safaris, why do you think people should go on a safari?
I think if you haven't been on a safari yet, and you've somehow spent your whole life existing without ever watching a David Attenborough documentary, or you've watched David Attenborough documentary, and you've gone, wow, that's amazing, I'd love to see that. That is how I experience as far as you go and see these animals, and you do just go, wow, I can't believe I'm sat in this Jeep and there's a herd of 150 elephants around me, and you just watch them for like 5 hours or 3 hours or however long you want to.
So it's the greatest wildlife show on earth.
It really is.
Yeah. And you get to get really up close and personal and just...
Not personal.
Not
Because
personal.
you are not interacting with the animals. It is the way you need to look at it. You might have some interaction, but that's whether they've approached you or someone
like
has
the
done
monkeys
something wrong.
attack the car.
Yeah, that's very different. But a safari should be purely observing nature and minimizing your direct interaction with it, because you don't want to disturb nature, any of the cycle of life, or anything that's meant to happen. For example, sometimes there are hard situations where you see an animal in pain, but that's because its leg's been eaten off by a lion, and you think, oh, I really want to help it. But
that would be painful.
But at the same time, it should happen whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
And you being there should not change the outcome of said thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also you get to explore lots of UNESCO World Heritage Sites and lots of national parks, as they have quite a few of in Africa.
Yeah, there are loads of them around. Some of them, you really go out of your way to go and see them. You really do. So, some of the craters I've seen, you've taken a tiny plane 6 hours into the middle of nowhere just to go and see these different craters or different deltas or just different landmarks and features. And some of it's really, truly amazing.
Yeah. And also, one of the best parts about safaris in Africa is the Big Five. You were getting excited about something else there.
I was.
It's seeing the... Okay, we'll get to your point after, but it's seeing the Big Five. Which for a lot of people is very exciting.
I think on your first trip to Africa, it's right at the top. It's the stereotype of going, right? It's the same as going to Paris and, I don't know, eating... what are they even?
French fries.
It's like going to Paris and, I don't know, having a bottle of wine next to the Eiffel Tower and looking at it, or just one of those stereotypical things to do, or
eating
we
with
need to go
rats.
to Venice and be... No, I was going to say punted round. That's going to make people think about kicking around, but
Yeah, on the boats.
yeah, around on the boats in Venice. I think it's one of the typical things, and to be honest, it's not surprising. So on the Big Five, you got let's see if I can get it right. The lion. I think it's the lion, leopard, rhino, buffalo, and elephant. I think. I know the cheetah is not on it. Lion, leopard, rhino, buffalo, and elephant. I think.
Hippo?
No, I don't think it. I don't think
If it's not hippo, then yeah, that's correct.
Let me just make sure. I'm correct.
Sure. So, how many safaris do you think you've been on in your lifetime?
How many?
Yes. More than me. If it's only in Africa, I've been to 0.
Yeah, so it's the lion, the leopard, the black rhinoceros, the African bush elephant, and the African buffalo.
Okay.
So I was correct. So
Yeah.
so far I've done, I think it's 13 African countries. Some of which haven't done what I'd call a normal safari in it. So like Rwanda, I don't know if I'd define walking with mountain gorillas as a safari, whereas at the same time it sort of is.
Under your definition you gave me, it is.
I mean, you could call it, but I don't know. In my head, safaris are...
Multiple animals. Is that
Yeah.
kind of what you're getting at?
No, I mean, did see, different, technically multiple animals.
And the
Also saw the
monkeys,
golden monkeys. No, okay, we'll call that a safari. Every country in Africa I've been to... Haven't always done a safari, actually. Mozambique, I didn't do a safari. Unless you want to call it a water safari, going out and looking at whales, but I don't call that a safari. I don't know why. But no,
Yeah, that's just whale watching.
I actually don't know how many I've been on.
But
Because
quite a
if
few.
you're in one country and you go around to lots of different locations,
Yeah.
then that all sort of merges into one
Yeah,
in your head.
that's also true. But the point is quite a few. So today we're going to talk about 5 countries in Africa
Which I have been to.
where you have been to, and in your opinion you think are probably the best, or maybe the safaris that you must go to, like the go-to safaris?
I base them also on, I've got my favourite one in there. I've got one which I think is a great, what I'm going to call a starter location.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's not sure whether they'll like it, but you can intertwine it with more stereotypical
Was that
Western.
London Zoo?
No, and then I've got very unique ones in there as well.
Okay, so number one, we'll start with, and I feel like this is one of the more famous ones.
Yeah.
In when you think of safaris, you think of this place, and it's South Africa. There's multiple national parks and places where people go on safaris. So some of them are Kruger National Park, Kwandwi Game Reserve, Amakhala Game Reserve. Do you want to try the next word?
No, Morgan, I'm really enjoying you suffer.
Hulului Game Reserve and Madikwe Game Reserve. I am sorry for all South Africans out there. I blame Will. But the point is, there is quite a few.
Yeah.
Kruger National Park probably being the most famous.
Yeah, Kruger National Park, South Africa, I'd easily say is the most famous.
And within South Africa, you get all of the big five, including multiple rhino species, all thriving, plus cheetahs, wild dogs, numerous large herbivores, and 500 plus bird species. So there is a lot to see. And the secret is that the habitat variety, from the hills and the savanna to the woodland and the riverine forest, my reading's going fantastic here.
Yeah.
Abundant water helps with perennial rivers ensuring game concentrations all year round.
It's going great, Morgan.
All-weather roads also make it a top bet for the rainy season. The upside of development is choice, so you get the choice from exclusive lodges to large public camps, from night drives to wilderness trails. Kruger really does offer a lot, and a lot for both first-timers and budget travellers. It's probably the easiest and you're most likely to see the most. Outside of the game-rich national parks, you can also go whale watching in Hermanus or join African penguins on a beach, which is pretty cool.
So the penguins on the beach are both one of my favourite things and saddest things in the world. So
That's a lot of emotions.
It really is. So I've got a photo of me there, and I'll struggle to find it. When I first ever went, I think I was 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the beach is called Boulders Beach.
Yeah.
And it's the most bizarre experience going onto the beach and just seeing hundreds of penguins.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, the population's declined really drastically. One is because of all the fishing in the area, so the penguins haven't been able to... Not enough fish are getting close enough to the beach area for the penguins to actually feed. And then actually, I think last year at the beginning of the whole pandemic, loads of the penguins died due to, I think it was either bee
COVID.
or wasp swarms.
Oh no.
Just coated loads of the beach and started killing loads of penguins. Really, really sad. Like, genuinely sad. But
your smile makes it sound
no,
sad.
it does upset me. I'm laughing out of like the bad. But that's one of the most surreal experiences of the whole of South Africa. And this, what I was saying was, for someone who's never been on a safari before, massive benefits to South Africa. Firstly, it's the only real country in Africa as a whole.
The only real country?
No, it's the only Africa... It's the only country in Africa as a whole which you don't need to worry about malaria, really. Yeah. So as a young kid, you can go. Whereas a lot of the other countries where malaria is really, really primed, you can't take a lot of malaria tablets like Malarone and everything younger than 6 years old.
Okay.
So South Africa, you get that. The benefit as well as, if you're not that sure on the whole safari thing, or you think it might be too intense, doing a whole holiday really focused around it, Cape Town, absolutely beautiful. You've got Tabletop Mountain right next to it. You've got Boulders Beach. You've got all of the beautiful vineyard areas. Yeah. All the wineries area. That's not going to be at the top of my list for recommending, especially as a young family. But then you can integrate in the safari. It's not that hard to get to the likes of Kruger National Park. It's not that hard to get to any of these other ones. And that's why I think South Africa's such an interesting one. One of the flip problems is because of those aspects, if you're going for what I'm going to call very much budget safari camping holiday, you will be more subject to larger groups of people.
Yeah.
Which can potentially put you off, but
And take away from the...
If that is very much your limit for the whole safari experience, but you really want to do it, then that's just...
That is a good place,
we're going to call that a side effect of being at that budget level. But if you can afford to spend a bit more money, then you might be able to afford nicer areas of Kruger National Park or more private safaris where less people can get to. But that is part of safari. That's part of everything in life is your experience level. But if you're with the right people and in the right mindset, then it's going to be amazing no matter what.
Yeah, sounds great. So moving on, we have Kenya.
Yes.
Am I doing all this bit and then you talk? Is that how I fancy it?
Yeah, let's go for it like that.
Okay, let's go for it like that.
Because you normally do me over with all these Ukrainian, Vietnam places where you've been.
Yeah, but that doesn't
mean
that
me
I
say the
read
words, making me read out in the last episode and last season.
Yeah, but you got to tell
in
me
Vietnam, the dish banged me so many times. That's what you made me say. So now I'm making you suffer for once. Right, Kenya, let's go.
Kenya is one of Africa's best safari destinations and one of the most well-known, famous for its colourful tribes and the Great Migration. Africa's Big Five and stretches of savannah lit up in golden sunset colours. When you think of safari, probably one of the places you could be thinking of is Kenya. However, Kenya's landscape has more to offer beyond the acacia trees. Yeah. There are snow-capped mountains, vast deserts, thick jungles, gorgeous coastlines and beaches, the perfect, relaxing end to any safari holiday. That went far. The Masai Mara National Reserve, the Amboseli National Park, Samburu National Reserve, Laikipia Plateau, Lake Nakaru National Park in the Great Rift Valley are all many of the different game reserves and areas that you can go to. So which places did you go to?
In Kenya, the Masai Mara was the main one. Masai Mara is also one of the games reserves which anyone who's heard of doing a safari in Africa might not have known it was in Kenya, but the Masai Mara is such a famous one. The sheer scale of it is amazing. And on top of that is one of the best and most common places in Africa to go and see the Great Migration. Yeah,
so the Masai Mara is the northern extension of Tanzania's Serengeti, and it has huge herds of wildebeest and other grazers that arrive from July to October and dominate the park's ecology in a similar way. The jaw-dropping spectacle is a magnet for predators, and there is no better place to notch up a lion and cheetah in double quick time. Helped by the open terrain and the cat's ease around the vehicles, other draw cards include elephants, giraffes, and the rare black rhino. The Mara's downside is its popularity, sometimes leading to intrusive clusters of minibuses. For a more exclusive experience, head to upmarket camps in the west. Rough roads and seasonal flooding rule out self-drive for first-timers. Other species to look out for include baboon, flamingo, and giraffe, with the latter being a special point of interest for the insta-famous Giraffe Manor in Nairobi.
So Giraffe Manor, I know Sam Calder was at a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
he posted about that when he was out there with a few of his guys.
So what is Giraffe Manor?
It's a very large hotel where you can wake up and in the morning a giraffe might stick its head through your bedroom window, or whilst you're having breakfast or anything there just around.
Sounds pretty cool.
If you look it up, very, very Instagram famous. You might recognise it from a few places. So my experience of Masai Mara was actually that typical one of crazy amount of cars. Yeah. So loads of other places, we've been in the middle of nowhere, we've seen a lion, and we've been the only vehicle there for hours. Masai Mara, because it's so popular and it's very easy for a lot of these hotels to get guide access and everything. Because certain parks limit, they say, we've only got 20 car permits a day. Yeah. Masai Mara is the complete opposite. So I remember we saw pride of about 5 lions. and my brother and I counted 64 cars around it.
Jeez.
And minivans.
How many rows of cars was that?
What do you mean?
Or how big was the circle? Was it like
enormous?
A massive
And the problem
semicircle?
was the more people who turn up, the closer they're getting, and then you just start to disturb it, and that's when it started to feel wrong. But we went to Masai Mara specifically at that time of the year to see the Great Migration.
And did you?
Yeah. So we saw.
Is it something, because obviously with animals and going to the wild, you don't necessarily get to see everything, so it's not
Yeah, so
safari,
we
'cause it
didn't
wasn't Africa.
see. I think we only saw the back end of a water crossing, and that's one of the main things you want to go and see.
Okay.
Because you want to go to a water crossing, and it sounds really bad now. You want to go to a water crossing and see a wildebeest get taken out by a massive alligator. That's what you really want.
Yeah.
So
Is the Great Migration, when you go, something that if you go during that time you're likely to find and actually see?
the Great Migration.
Yeah.
I don't think you realise how big it is. Walking.
No, but I'm just saying with normal
This
animals, with normal animal things, you're not guaranteed to see things.
If you go at that time of the year,
Mhm.
the fact there are millions, it's not like, there's 1,000 wildebeest going.
Yeah.
It's the Great Migration. This is millions. And this is one of the few times in your life you're going to be on a plane and go, right, I'm definitely not sleeping on this flight. When you're flying in on these tiny planes and you know the Great Migration going on, it's just like a dark cloud wiggling along the earth. It looks like almost a river. That's how big it is. So you're flying into the area, into the Masai Mara area, and you just saw this huge wiggle of wildebeest going on. It's the scale of it's ridiculous.
And how do you know how far they migrate? Any idea, or how long they migrate?
I think it's literally just constantly. I think they do one massive loop and it's just constant.
Oh wow!
As far as I can remember.
So did you get the crocodile taking out the wildebeest?
No. I was genuinely excited for that concept. Well, it's just one of the things you want to see because when you see these shows like David Attenborough's Planet Earth or any of those, you need to remember these guys aren't out there for 3 days just in the Masai Mara. Yes, you have a chance of seeing it, but they're out there for months.
Yeah, they're out there for a long,
that's
long
definitely
time.
one of the things is I have come across a lot of people who have been on safaris or on a safari who have been grumpy about, we spent this much money and we haven't seen this. And then the saddest thing is when they take it out on the local guides or any of that because they're like, why haven't we seen a lion? Why haven't we seen a leopard?
Were they expecting to see the Northern Lights?
Is people's expectations of as far as you're just going to order a lion, you're going to order a leopard, you're going to order this. The point in as far as your experience you have on that holiday is going to be unlike any other person's. You will see things, you'll laugh about things, you'll experience things which other people haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I've had occasions of that on ours. I went on one and then since then I haven't met anyone who's ever seen it before. And our guide had been a guide for 35 years and never even heard of a case of it. We thought we were about to see a cheetah. It was a mum and 2 cubs, quite old cubs. We thought we were about to see them have a kill on a small antelope. I think it was an impala or a springbok. And it just ran through the grass. It's full speed. We'd never seen a cheetah run at full speed. All of a sudden, it did a complete 180 U-turn. And it chased after a serval, which is a type of cat. So it chased after like a tiny relative cat up a tree. So we saw this cheetah not only go full speed, thinking, wow, we're going to see a proper hunt now, because it had been waiting, did a stalk and then ran. It sprinted 180 round and it ran up a tree and there's another cat in front of it, but a tiny cat. It's so bizarre to see one species hunt itself. So like how in our case, it's very a bizarre concept for humans to hunt other primates, which is why in parts of the Amazon, when you've got these Netflix shows where hunters go out and want to see how other people do it, they've found the concept of hunting and then having to eat another primate very bizarre, because naturally that is, however you want to describe it, biologically a sort of broken concept.
Yeah.
And to see a cat doing that to another cat and actually hunting it down in that sort of concept of as if it wanted to eat it.
Yeah.
It's super rare, and that was a unique experience.
That sounds very cool. So Kenya was one that you quite enjoyed.
Yeah, Kenya was very, very different. But they're all unique,
They're
and I
all
enjoy
unique.
them all. But they're all. So many people think, "Oh, I've been on safari. I've done it now." And it's like you need to remember every country has 100 things to offer,
Yeah.
and then you go to multiple countries, and they're all very different. So I could say I go to Kenya, and you go. Let's say you go to Kenya. Our experience could be so different, and people don't need to take that into account.
Yeah, that makes sense. So number 3, we have Botswana. Botswana has evolved as a safari destination, free from fences and farmlands, which has resulted in a vast wildlife haven, with high concentrations of big game from prowling lions to herds of buffalo. The country's natural landscapes are awe-inspiring too, from baobabs on the salt baobabs on the salt pans to stunning desert sands. Learn about the bush from those who know best, the San of the Kalahari, who have used the environment for thousands of years and run bushwalks for visitors. The safari destination is also known for its wilderness camping. To see Botswana is home to over 130,000 elephants. Not as cool as the land of 1,000,000 elephants. From a couple of episodes we're talking about Laos, boasting more of these creatures than anywhere else in the world. Apparently.
Elephants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
But
more than Laos.
Botswana is where I saw the large. Is where I've seen the largest herd of elephant I've ever seen. I think it was maybe 180 in the herd.
Wow. With herds numbering up into the hundreds, yeah. Other notable species to look out for are the black-maned lions, big cats, herds of zebras, bathing hippos, and a wide variety of bird life. Botswana is dry land, yet paradoxically, some of the best game viewing is by water. Come the dry season, wildlife throngs the riverfront in the far north of the Chobe National Park, where boat cruises passes countless elephants and buffaloes. Lions and hyenas roam the loop roads, while sable are among many herbivores. And also, Victoria Falls is just a day trip away. Further south, the Moremi Reserve protects the eastern fringes of the Okavango Delta, where seasonal waterfalls lure prolific game numbers from surrounding Mopane woodlands. And again, Season 1, Episode 4, we ate Mopane worms. Predators including wild dog are abundant. Boat cruises, and it was Will's favourite, across the lagoons, or Makoro, which are dugout canoe trips down the narrow channels, offer plentiful big game and bird life.
Botswana was exactly what I just described in terms of countries in Africa with unique experiences. The concept of doing these safaris via boat around the Okavango Delta, absolutely surreal. It was so high up there, and one of my favourite safari experiences was you just be cruising around. It's just endless, and then you just suddenly start slowing down, and you just go, "Oh, right, okay, we're just gonna sit here and now watch a herd of 20 elephants just cross the river right in front of you, and you're 20, 30 meters away, and you're just watching them, and a little baby holding its mum's tail trying to cross the river with it, or its trunk just out of the water." That was really surreal. All the birds, the kingfishers go around.
Yeah.
I even went fishing and caught catfish in the delta.
Oh, wonderful.
We had a
Catfish is
we had a
tasty.
really aggressive hippo try and come after us whilst we were fishing. Endless amounts of alligators. Saw papyrus growing in the wild.
Oh, that's cool.
Which are they're sort of like a really tall reed. So we're going through that section, and it was almost like a sort of tunnel. It felt like a tunnel because the reeds were super high up the side of the river, and you're just swinging through, and the hippos in the centre of it, and alligators everywhere. That's pretty surreal.
That sounds like a very cool experience.
And also the flying around there's amazing.
Yeah.
We went one camp to another, and I think that will forever be the shortest flight I ever take.
Do you want to go and do the shortest flight in the world?
How short do you think the shortest flight in the world?
There's the shortest commercial flight in the world is something like 45 seconds.
Oh, okay. So that's a lot. That's
short.
shorter. This would have taken because of the
I think
delta.
it's in Scotland.
Because the delta's so intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
It's it takes hours to drive around. So it would have
makes sense
taken
to fly.
7 hours to drive around, but I timed the flight at 4 minutes and 53 seconds.
Wow. The shortest commercial flight in the world is in Papa Westray, which I think is in Scotland, and the fastest they ever recorded that commercial flight was 53 seconds.
I wonder how much a ticket is.
It's about one way. It's about £1,000, I think,
No,
because it's become almost a touristy thing.
that's ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure it is that.
Oh, I don't
So
believe
I watched
it.
the
I don't
video.
believe it, Morgan. We need to go to it.
Next episode. So next on our list we have Madagascar. Not the film. Although that would be. Although an incredible 90% of Madagascar's forests have sadly been destroyed, the flora and fauna of this unique island can be found nowhere else in the world. 5% of all known plant and animal species can be found here and only here. That's pretty cool. That's a cool
It's really
fact.
cool.
Meaning that it's more important than ever to protect the country's 25 national parks and the endemic wildlife species which lives in them. Don't miss the unique Malagasy culture with influences from Borneo, Polynesia, France as well as East Africa. The fusion cuisine and cultural mix here is truly one of a kind, with a focus on ancestral worship and local taboos called Fadi. You can canoe along the river for the easiest access around the island, camping in remote spots and meeting village communities along the way. Amber Mountain National Park, Andasaibi Mantadia National Park, and Dringitra National Park,
You're nailing this, Morgan.
Ankara Fantasika National Park, Isaulo National Park, and Ronomafana National Park. That was almost like singing. It's believed that Madagascar's diverse range of lemur species evolved after they floated to the island around 60 million years ago. Today there are over 100 species of lemur, all of which are endemic to the country. You'll most likely recognise the panda-faced ring-tailed lemur, the dancing sifaka, and the indri, which call much like the whale song. Other species to look out for in Madagascar include endangered chameleons, cat-like fossa, brightly coloured frogs and insects, as well as a few pesky animals missing from the Central Park Zoo.
You actually did pretty well there, Morgan.
I read.
So the injury is the largest lemur in Madagascar.
Mm-hmm.
They are big. And the super interesting thing about them is they eat so many of this one specific type of species of leaf when they're up in the canopies.
Mm-hmm.
That the only time they ever come down is to actually eat soil, because they eat so many of these type of leaves that it actually becomes partially toxic in their stomach.
Okay.
So that when they come down and eat the soil, apparently it balances the pH,
Yeah.
so that it's no longer almost like an acidic poison.
Mm-hmm.
And then ring-tailed lemurs are a classic. They
Yeah.
do this. It looks like they're meditating, but they're sunbathing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sifakas are bizarre. You just watch them and they do this sideways, almost like crab-like dance between the trees. Hence why they call it like the dancing lemur.
Yeah.
But Madagascar, outright one of the most surreal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the biggest shock for us was just how much of a third world country it was.
Yeah.
Because we've been to parts of Africa. South Africa, you've got super wealthy parts, and then obviously changes. Madagascar as a whole was, on average, very poor,
Mm-hmm.
and that really hit us. We could not believe how desolate it was. You're driving for hours, like 6 hours, and just saw absolutely nothing. And then just end up in this tiny area, and then you go and see so many bizarre different species,
Yeah.
which just hadn't seen anywhere else. So, as you said, lemurs are solely in Madagascar.
Mm.
There are nowhere else in the world, unless they're in zoos or anything like that. It is just the one place, and because Madagascar is separate to the rest of, because it's an
Africa.
island, it's its own island off Africa. It's just got the most surreal change. It doesn't feel like normal part of Africa. You've got these insane rainforests, and then you've just got almost these deserts where I think it's called the spiny trees or the spiny valley, and you've got all these different little spikes and really sharp, aggressive looking rocks, and the lemurs can live amongst them as well.
Oh, wow.
So severe difference. And then you go out on the coast and it just suddenly feels like Barbados, where I went fishing for tuna off Madagascar, and it's just completely different atmosphere. That's what Madagascar was to me. It was a bit like New Zealand when we were there.
Yeah.
Every chunk just felt like a different country.
Different place, yeah,
Mm.
every like 50 kilometres. So, our final, although there are many other places, many other very good places you can go safari, but our final place in this episode that we're going to talk about is Zambia. Zambia is little more under the radar in comparison to the rest of the other big African safari destinations that we've spoken about today. However, the country's game-rich national parks offer a unique wildlife watching experience, such as walking safaris, night game drives, open-top game drives, and even canoe safaris. Aside from the safari attractions, there is also the legendary Vic Falls on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. The falls is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and there is a plethora of activities you can do here. Hikes up for the breathtaking views, to helicopters above the spray, or brave a swim out on the edge of Devil's Pool. I do think we've done the normal wonders of the world. We should probably do an episode of the 7 natural wonders of the world
We should do.
at some point. I think that
Definitely
would
should
be
do.
a good idea. So the national parks are South Luangwa National Park, North Luangwa National Park, Lower Zambezi National Park, and Kafu National Park. Zambia recently regained its status as a Big 5 safari destination, as black rhino were reintroduced into the North Luangwa National Park. The other big games can also be found here, such as elephants, giraffes, zebras, buffaloes, lions, hippos, leopards, African wild dogs, and even cheetahs. On a night safari in South Luangwa, you might also be treated to sightings of nocturnal creatures such as honey badgers, African wildcats, porcupines, civets, genets, and perhaps even the rare and critically endangered pangolin.
Yeah. So Zambia, as you know, is outright, and that's why I'm getting really excited now, outright my favourite ever African
And that's
country.
the end of the episode.
It is by far my favourite African country, to the point where I'd almost say we could do I'd like to do a big episode on Zambia at some point.
Yeah.
It's where I fell in love with photography, specifically wildlife photography.
Who was she?
It's just everything about it to me screams the perfect country to go for a safari if you really want to go for a safari. You've got the benefit of just the sheer quantity of water along the Zambezi River, which you get the sort of similar benefits of in Botswana.
Mhm.
So you get the benefits of the water, because the water is, as everyone knows, it's the life source of everything. So you get so much around the water. You get all the animals coming to drink from the water, to be around the water, to cross the water. You get all the animals which live in the water. So you get all the hippos, the alligators, you got all the things which thrive off the water. You get all the... So in Zambia, the national animal is the fish eagle.
Oh.
So we saw hundreds of them along the Zambezi River. You see kingfishers, you see everything. Malachite kingfishers are just beautiful little bird. Really, really sort of sharp, crystal, metallic looking blue colour.
Yeah.
Well, a malachite colour, but that's the best way to describe it. It's just got the most amazing wildlife. We saw leopards, elephants, just you name it, we really saw it. And one of the best things and one of the best safaris you could do in Zambia, if you've got the time and you're willing to commit to it, is you can do these amazing kayak and canoeing safaris, which one of my dreams is to do one of the big sort of 2-3 week ones, all the way along the Zambezi River and then end up really close to Victoria Falls.
That'd be amazing. That'd be really cool. So we have spoken about 5 different places that you can go on safaris, but we haven't spoken really, we've mentioned it briefly, about cost.
So we've given the 5 countries so far. Let's go through them, Morgan. We did South Africa.
Yeah, we did Kenya.
Yep.
We did Botswana. We did Madagascar. Zambia. Yeah, that's the 5.
So we've got the 5. So we will go from cheapest.
So firstly, how long is...
These are all 3-day budgets.
3-day budgets. Okay.
3-day budgets. This is all budget safari. So this was me not just looking at the rock bottom cheapest. This was me looking at the rock bottom cheapest of a safari, which I think was a safari I'd actually be willing to go on in terms of, no, because some of the safaris I looked at, which were rock bottom cheapest, I'd struggle to have justified a safari, because when you typed in, I then read through some of the spec on them, and I just went, that you're not even.
So what spec?
You're not seeing
What spec are you looking for?
To actually go with the goal of going and trying seeing something like elephants or lions or wildebeest, not just big five, but actually going out and seeing animals instead of using the word safari for what I would not really define as. So coming in the cheapest,
we have
Kenya, specifically the Masai Mara.
Ooh.
So including accommodation, all your food for those days, and the safari with a guide, works out around £100 a day. So £300 for 3-day safari, including the 2 nights accommodation in the Masai Mara. So as we said before, one of the problems with that is you'll come across large crowds. It might not be as slick and as well organised, but if you want to go on a safari on a budget, Masai Mara could be your place to go. £300.
And I also know in Kenya you can go to hostels fairly near, and then those hostels do game drives.
Yeah.
Which is another way to, if you're really trying to do it on a shoestring budget.
I mean, this is within that sort of budget range. I think you would struggle.
I couldn't find anything cheaper than that when I was looking for last year.
I think that's the cheapest you'll find.
Yeah.
To have it all included in that budget and going to 3 different areas, and you're not staying in the same place each night, by the way. That is going to different areas.
Yeah.
Coming in at second place for the cheapest was Botswana, actually. That did surprise me. I know along the Delta there are lots of different areas, and the budget is likely to reflect your experience to somewhat.
Yeah.
In terms of the quality of everything around you, but...
So do the animals put up more of a show if they get a bit more commission?
Yeah, you just give the lion and the impala a little back pocket. You just say to the impala...
They take Bitcoin, right?
Exactly. You just say to the impala, I'll give you 1 Bitcoin if you get... I'll give 1 Bitcoin to your family, to your herd, if you get killed today by a lion in front of this Jeep. This family really want to see a live kill.
Just, help us
I'll
out.
send them some Doge coin.
Sheep coin.
Musk is here today. He's got loads of Doge.
Yeah.
He wants to see a kill. Botswana really surprised me. That was £415 for 3 days safari, all accommodation and food included. Same as the others. That was one on the basis of this as well. Was trying to get them as even as possible in terms of their offering. It was 2 days accommodation, all the transport for the day, the guide, and your food and drink. Well, not much drink, because a lot of these locations you'd bring extra money to buy beers or wine or whatever you want. So then the next one, which I think sort of surprised me, but I know South Africa has more options, but also I think they're quite strong on trying to maintain a certain level within the parks. So that was a 3-day Kruger National Park, food, accommodation, guide, same as the others, for £460 for 3 days.
That's okay.
Which I think still not too aggressive. We are jumping up. And then we go to Zambia. This one I picked.
Your favourite.
On the basis of it being what I would classify as a good safari in Zambia.
Okay.
This was a 3-day kayaking tent safari along the Zambezi River.
That sounds fun.
And this was £575. So this is covering the fact that, you've got a guide, you're on the water for the whole time. You're on the water the whole time. So it is very unique.
Yeah.
And I felt, instead of going for what I wanted to put something special for Zambia, and this was budgeting that as well, at £575 for canoe/kayak down the Zambezi. With all your food, accommodation and guides.
Okay.
And the benefit of that is you're also, for £575, you're not going to have... You'll have very different experience to the likes of the Masai Mara, where you're driving around all day, boiling hot in a little sort of car, and lots of people going down the Zambezi. you should be very much.
Alone.
It'll feel a lot more private
Yeah.
and very hands-on, but a very different experience altogether. So, most expensive one, and this one was actually hard to find, was a cheap one for
In
last
Madagascar.
but not least, but Madagascar. So £650 was the rock bottom I could find. 3 days far in Madagascar, and I actually was not impressed with it. What they're offering, but the jump from that above that, you're looking more at sort of like, and it was all in dollars. The next sort of really worthy one for about 3 days was about $1,300.
Wow, so that is a big jump up.
Yeah, and then it flew straight up. $1,300, $1,500, $1,700, $3,000. That went up really quickly. But I think that's because the offerings out there are so limited.
unique, yeah.
I mean, when I went out there, we stayed in what was a very expensive place. And, I mean, the food was so bad. Oh, I don't want to put people off because it's an amazing country. But I also want to be transparent as we got to a point where
I can't see
my
through.
parents stopped eating the food at the place we're staying,
Mm-hmm.
and we fortunately had turned up with a load of biscuits and stuff in our bags, and my brother and I basically ate biscuits there for those like 2 days,
Wow.
because we thought the food was that bad, and we just didn't want to risk it. It
Yeah.
sounds really bad, but we just went, and that was a really expensive place. Prince of Japan stayed there, and apparently the food during those 2 days jumped up. But still, it's like it was slightly
Yeah.
ridiculous. And yeah, so Madagascar really expensive. I think unbelievably unique. But if you can spend more money, then spend more money and really research and pick your
Yeah.
locations for it. But that's also the fact that Madagascar is so much further out of the way. I don't know if you can fly direct. I can't really remember. I don't think you do. I think we flew into Joburg and then across.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Because Joburg's or Nairobi, such big airports
Yeah.
relative to the others. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to pick out of those ones, I'm very biased. So I would,
I was going to say I'd probably pick Zambia.
if I was going for really rock bottom, Botswana is not an easy country to get to, and Zambia is a lot easier. I mean, most of these you fly to Joburg and then back. A lot of African countries I've been to in the southern half are in the southern half.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we go
Go to
Joburg, then
and
to
fly
another.
back. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Well, this episode has been really exciting for me, and I've learned a lot about African safaris. And what I found really interesting is the fact that each different country, even though you may be seeing some of the same animals, each different country gives you a very unique and different experience, and it makes me want to go to all of them, not just pick
It's
one.
why Africa is by far my favourite continent on the planet.
You haven't been to Antarctica yet.
Still won't beat it. Still will never beat it for me.
I guess there's 54 countries in Africa,
Yeah.
and there's one in Antarctica. Technically, there's a few
There's
because
quite a
different
few.
countries own, but it's
Yeah.
But this has definitely been something that again is really pushing me to want to, when I have more holiday days, spend some time in Africa. And if you guys want to hear more about some of these stories, and we could do, and we will do more in-depth episodes on different places, comment below and tell us on, well, YouTube or on our Instagram, which is the BKS Travel, and YouTube is Best Kept Secrets Travel, because we want to do what you guys want to listen to, and so any feedback is great, even if it's just you don't like Will's shorts.
What's wrong with them? Nice red shorts. I haven't got any socks on right now, so I'm not going to show them. Show my feet. But, you know, my pink shorts. Pinky red shorts. But, yeah, so coming to the end of the episode, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. Drop a comment below because it does help us grow. Just like those trees, for every 100 subscribers we get on the YouTube channel, we plant a tree in the National Trust in the United Kingdom. And on top of that, if you are listening to us on a podcast and it's safe to do so, then please follow this channel, leave us a review, and for every 50 downloads on our podcast channel, we will plant a tree in one of our favourite destinations around the world. So for this one, for every 50, we will try and plant trees in one of these 5 African countries.
That sounds like a good deal, and I think it's about time to roll the outro.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.